Hey everyone. So today I wanted to talk more about expression, that is playing more than just the notes in the music. Yesterday I spent some time talking about phrasing and dynamics, and everything I talked about yesterday is true in today's tune as well, although I'm not going to be talking so much about how I use dynamics, but rather how I use articulation to make this more interesting. I asked you this week to choose something that was a little bit more love song and something else that was a little more pirate song. This one is a little bit more in the pirate song category, although it's not a very piratey pirate song. I'm going to play it for you first exactly the way it's written on the page. This is a well-known American folk tune called Simple Gifts. I, on purpose, removed any expressive markings that are normally here and just put in the notes. I want you to listen to what this sounds like when I play it exactly as written. I played just the notes at the right time. No, I wouldn't say that sounded bad. It was just pretty ordinary. If you listen to it, you'd say, yeah, the guy played the right notes at the right time, but it wasn't very interesting. So what I'd like to do is see if I can change it up by being creative about how I put slurs in there so it's not just every note is tongued. Again, just like yesterday, this is an activity that has no specific right answers. Any way that I choose to do this could be the right way to do it. From the most basic, I could just choose to slur literally everything. But sometimes that can get a little bit mushy, so maybe that's not the best answer. Or I could think about just where I want to add in slurs just to see what I could do. Sometimes when I do this with a piece of music, I might decide based on what I know the words to be, where a word is perhaps more articulated and crisp with lots of consonants, I'd probably tongue those, and where there's some softer consonants, or where there's a word that goes over several different notes, I would slur those. For today, I'm going to pretend I don't know the words, and I'm just going to choose places where I could slur to make it more interesting. Okay, so I went through and I chose some places where I could add in slurs that I thought would make it sound more interesting. Listen to how much different this version sounds than the first version when I've just added in about 10 or so slurs. So you could hear a big difference in the expressiveness just when I added those slurs. I still articulated all the tongue notes about the same way that I did before. The only difference was I added slurs in some places, and those slurs probably added a little bit of emphasis and weight. So there's some accents that were added because those slurs are there that made the music more interesting to listen to. I encourage you to go through whatever tune it is you've chosen, and please use a pencil and mark it so you're not just making it up as you go, because it might be different every time. Write down different patterns of slurring and try different ways and see what you like the sound of. I use some pretty basic patterns here where I slurred in groups of two. You could slur in groups of more than two. You also can get some really interesting patterns if you do things like slur. If you end up slurring in the middle of a group of four like that, da-dee-ya-da-dee could be a much different sound than dee-ya-ta-ta-tee. So give it a try and experiment and see what you can do to make it more interesting. Thanks for stopping by.